Yo, what is going on, Cover One crew? Welcome back to the show. Hope everybody is good as always. I'm wonderful. What are we doing today? We're talking Start Sit week number 3. And hopefully you guys are not 0-2 right now, going into the dreaded potential 0-3. We got to get that rectified immediately, except all the injuries are not helping the cause. Everybody is down in the NFL, including stats are down in passing upside, passing TDs, passing yards, passing red zone opportunities and success rate. Everything is down right now, so you understand the landscape of why fantasy totals right now are not abundant, and it is a struggle to roster a good team. But let's start with those Arizona Cardinals. We'll get everybody off on the good note, man. Low risk, Kyler Murray, obviously showcasing the fact that he is back in a very big way. And like I told you guys last week, Marvin Harrison Jr. was a must start because they were going to force feed him on the regular. It was not, a hard decision to make. You knew they were going to do it, especially after it started in week 1. So both Kyler Murray and a Marvin Harrison Jr. are both fire him up everywhere you got him plays. Taking on these Detroit Lions, they do have a good run defense, and Hutchinson is a grown-ass man, no question. He is going to come after the quarterback and help aid in this run game. James Conner does get downgraded to a mid-level TD upside play this week. If you got him, I'm still okay playing him because he's been playing so good. But I mean, the top-end point totals will be a little bit lower, I want to say, but the TD upside is definitely there for a Conner when they get in the red zone because Kyler's running ability helps a Conner that way as well. Michael Wilson, low upside, not touching it. Greg Dortch on the injury risk right now. He has given some PPR upside in deeper leagues, but he is dealing with an injury. And then I'm going to upgrade a low-risk play to a Trey McBride. I liked what I saw last week with Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride, like we were supposed to see from jump in week 1. Atlanta Falcons taking on those Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. Okay, the Falcons, the Dirty Birds, they show out against the Philadelphia Eagles. Kirk Cousins, Kirk Chains, whatever they call him, man. Yeah, he looked good on that last drive, wasn't great overall. While we see Aaron Rodgers on Thursday Night Football look much better off his Achilles, maybe this is the week we also see Kirk Cousins play a little bit better. Yes, on that final drive, he looked good. He was decisive, dissecting the field, but I mean, the Eagles' prevent defense did them no favors, helped Cousins look like a magician out there. Mid-level risk versus Kansas City Chiefs. They will come back down to earth just a little bit, but Kirk is a seasoned vet. He's going to get it done. I mean, would I play a Kirk at this point versus Chiefs? Probably not. He's a statue back there, and the Chiefs know how to get after the quarterback because Spags knows how to bring that blitz, man. Mid-level risk for me. Bijan, low-level risk. Obviously, you're firing up everywhere you got him. Tyler Algier getting more in the mix last week, 9.1 points. It's not a great deal of points. Only in deeper leagues would I consider an Algier, but they're going to have to run the football a lot to keep Patrick Mahomes off of the field. Drake London, low floor on the mid-level risk for me. Going up against a guy like Trent McDuffie. McDuff, he's going to get locked up in a very big way. He saved his day with that final drive touchdown last week on Monday Night Football. I really expect him to get locked up by McDuffie quite a bit, and I fully expect a Kirk Cousins to see a bum rush of pressure from the Chiefs. So I got him on the low floor, mid-level risk. Darnell Mooney, mid-level risk for me, and it was what I was saying with his ADP to potential ROI as the season does go on was absolutely stupendous. And look what is going on. He's a fantastic route runner, and as long as Drake London and Kyle Pitts are there to pull coverage, Mooney's role could be increasing on the weekly. I love it as a flex play. Again, especially in garbage time productivity, if the Falcons are getting beat down, we could see a lot of Darnell Mooney. Ray McLeod, high-level risk for me, and Kyle Pitts got the mid-level TD upside. Garbage time productivity potentially. Pitts is so difficult to trust right now. So if you do have a better option, even though tight end is crapshoot right now, I get it with that with Kyle Pitts. Baltimore Ravens taking on the Dallas Cowboys. The 0-2 Baltimore Ravens. And the Dallas Cowboys are not, feeling themselves this week either, coming off a massive blowout loss to those New Orleans Saints. Lamar Jackson still giving you the point totals we require. Low risk, fire him up. Derrick Henry's dealing with a calf. Does not matter. King Henry's going to be out there on the field. Haven't heard anything to suggest otherwise. Low level risk. What did I say? He's going to score. He's going to get you a boom game last week, and it occurred once again. So low level risk for both Lamar and a Derrick Henry. Justice Hill, he gets his payday to $6 million contract. It's good for him, man. PPR upside on the high-level risk. I don't necessarily like it. I think if you have better options, you're obviously taking it. Deeper leagues, I understand the flex place. Zay Flowers, good upside on the mid-level. It was great seeing him get a multitude of targets last week, where everything else is surprisingly getting faded in this offense. But again, I feel like the Baltimore Ravens do this every single season. They try to make Lamar the passing quarterback. They try to give him weapons to make him more, upside in passing ability. Run the freaking ball and do some play action pass. This offense will start humming. Utilize Mark Andrews a little bit more. I don't understand what's going on. We could be seeing, the end result of Mark Andrews, potentially getting cooked at this point, and his career could be on the latter stages. But I do want to see them get back to basics, start using a Mark Andrews, run the football a lot, use that play action pass, the RPO schemes, get your tight ends involved. It will open up everybody else down the field. So for me, Zay Flowers, absolutely fire him up. Rashad Bateman and Nelson Aguilar, high-level risk, not touching it. Mark Andrews, TD upside on the mid-level. I mean, it's only 9.5 points, and I told y'all last week with Isaiah Likely, it was not going to be likely he was going to be making a big play, and it didn't happen as well. So temper the expectations. It's going to be week-to-week dependence on an Isaiah Likely, but they're trying to get Mark Andrews back in the mix. I feel like, there are no better options than a Mark Andrews at tight end, so you got to fire him up this week over in Isaiah Likely. Buffalo Bills taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars on Monday Night Football doubleheader. It's going to be interesting, man. The Bills got a long layoff, man. They could be a little bit rusty, you want to think. They haven't played since last Thursday, so it's a mini bye week for them as well early on in the season. Yes, they have some defensive injuries, but Josh Allen coming off, a meek performance because he didn't have to do a whole heck of a lot because James Cook ran the show. Josh Allen this week, stud start versus Jacksonville Jaguars, who have struggles for days, 0-2, not looking good. Trevor Lawrence himself said, "We suck," and I think you're going to suck once again in Bills Mafia's territory. James Cook, low-level risk. In this Joe Brady offense, man, he loves to run the football, and everybody eats. Use the play-action pass and spread the football around to everybody. Extremely difficult for anybody to defend this Buffalo Bills offense right now. What sucks about that is it's very difficult for us fantasy managers and owners to have these players outside of James Cook and a Josh Allen. It is very much up in the air who's going to eat every single week. James Cook, you can start him everywhere you got him. Khalil Shakir, good upside on the mid-level risk. PPR upside, he is going to be your primary target at the wide receiver spot, and I think the flex is okay with that wide receiver 3. Totally fine with the PPR upside there as well. Keon Coleman, I'm going to put him on the mid-level TD upside this week because he just is a tower compared to all of the other Jacksonville Jaguar defensive backs where Coleman is 6'2", 6'3", and you got all the other guys 6 foot and under on the defensive side. I think if you don't at least try a Keon Coleman in the end zone, it is a travesty. You got to absolutely get him at least 2 targets in that red zone. I got TD upside. Still not playing a Keon just yet. You got to understand where he's coming from. Curtis Samuel, high-level risk. I was fearful of this. Everybody thought, he's going to be the Swiss Army knife in this offense. Until we see it, I got a high-level risk him, man. Likewise with Mac Hollins. But Dalton Kincaid, this is the week, baby. I mean, it's 3 weeks. He's been the double covered, position on the defenders are trying to take away from this Buffalo Bills offense, daring the Bills to use other players to beat them, and so far so good. This time, I think they're forced to go and cover other players on this team, and Dalton Kincaid should have a boom game. I'm saying low risk. It is a risk still, but I'm saying low risk for Dalton Kincaid. Carolina Panthers taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. Oh, Bryce Young, man, I feel for you. The benching has happened. Rumor has it that he's okay with, whatever situation does fall right now, let him be traded, whatever it is. Him sitting on the bench, learning from an Andy Dalton. The Red Rifle is back at quarterback, taking on these these Las Vegas Raiders. And I'm telling y'all right now, if you don't have a better option or you're in super flex leagues, Andy Dalton, we'll see. I mean, he's going to sling the football. He doesn't have much left in his career, so he's going to be having fun out there. He's a decent start. 15 points could absolutely be had for an Andy Dalton. Chuba Hubbard, mid-level risk now with an Andy Dalton because teams will have to fear the pass just a little bit more. Chuba should get some open holes and volume upside for him as well. So unless it's because of all the injuries we have at running back, so if you have Chuba sitting on your bench and you're thinking about starting him, you could do a lot worse than Chuba versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Miles Sanders not touching it this week. Well, Adam Thielen and a Deontay Johnson do get PPR upside on the mid-level risk with an Andy Dalton. We've seen what Andy can do in his career, feeding wide receivers on the regular, like Tyler Boyd, like an A.J. Green back in the day. So he is capable enough to get, good quality wide receivers the ball. Both these individuals have wide receiver and flex opportunity here. High-level risk for an Xavier Legette, just too difficult to trust. And then a Jatavion Sanders, the rookie, just not enough to go around. Chicago Bears taking on the Indianapolis Colts. Caleb. I mean, is anybody really shocked at this? Because I'm not. This was going to take some time. The Bears' offensive line is terrible. The offensive scheme is horrific. And I mean, you even see guys like DJ Moore being like, come on, man, get me the freaking ball. Adverse, insult to injury. You got Keenan Allen out with a foot injury as well. So, I mean, Rome Odunze is still dealing with that knee, but he suited up last week. He will again this week. Caleb Williams is a mid-level risk. He's not doing near enough for us to trust. He's got to be on your bench at this point where they're hoping that there's going to be some upside. I just don't necessarily see it this week, even though the Indianapolis Colts are not the best on the defensive side. DeAndre Swift, on the other hand, mid-level risk. I got him as a boom potential high-risk, high-reward player this week. And I'm okay with it because they're going to have to run the football. They're going to have to do some checkdowns. Hopefully some screens get in play. Give Caleb some hot reads, for God's sakes. Chill on these routes that are high developing, and maybe Caleb can actually complete something with the protection that is not there for him on the offensive line. So, I mean, play at your own risk with a DeAndre Swift, but I do get this sneaky suspicion he might get a bigger role this week. Khalil Herbert not touching it. DJ Moore, PPR upside on the mid-level. Unfortunately, we got to play him for where we drafted him, and the potential for the upside of the PPR and Yak game is here. So mid-level PPR upside there, absolutely. Rome Odunze on the low floor, high-level risk, not touching it this week, where DeAndre Carter is the fill-in for a Keenan Allen, not playing it, and then Cole Kmet on the mid-level. I would suggest a Cole Kmet, yes, but I can't do that either because the passes are just not coming from Caleb Williams at this point. It just does not look good in Chicago on the offensive side. Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Washington Commanders. The Commies on the doubleheader Monday, like I'm saying. Joey B on the low-level risk. Played better last week. Looked better this. I mean, okay, everyone's, complaining that the Chiefs get all the calls. It was pass interference, let's be real. But on the other hand, it was a massive holding on the offensive line for Kansas City. Should have been offsetting penalties, was not, and then we know the rest. Bengals are now 0-2. Low-level risk for me for a Joey B versus these Washington Commanders. Absolutely fire him up everywhere you got him. Chase Brown not touching it. Zach Moss on the mid-level risk for me. There is some ability here. There is some TD upside, and Washington is defensive-wise is not necessarily great. We saw Devin Singletary have a day, so Zach Moss, I'm absolutely comfortable playing him this week. Jamar Chase just does not look interested because he's chasing his dollars, and he's not getting paid, so he's not putting it on the field. This is really bad, man. It's a bad look for Jamar. I really am, dissatisfied with how I see him. He's nonchalantly running his routes on stuff we see him usually get open on. Jamar, man, I don't like what I see. It shows the fact that you want your money and you're not going to do it till you get paid. I don't like that kind of attitude, but I understand it's a business, and if you got hurt, they would cut you. I completely get the business side of it. Just play, man. Just play some ball. So I still got him on the low-level risk because it is Jamar Chase, and hopefully he does come back this week. T. Higgins on the mid-level risk. He's likely on the better side of likely suiting up than not this week. We're going to have to wait till Monday, so if you have a T. Higgins, obviously, hopefully you hedge-betted with an Andre Josevich, so at this point, if Higgins does play, I'm firing him up because we need him, and I think there will be some targets to go to his side. Andre Josevich, speaking of two-tutty wide receiver from Princeton last week, made a nice catch, a toe drag swag on the corner of the end zone. If T. Higgins does not play, that absolutely uplifts a Andre Josevich this week. If T. Higgins does suit up, I put him on a low floor, mid-level risk, probably only in deeper leagues for me, not necessarily touching it. I do like Higgins this week if he does play. Mike Gesicki dealing with an injury himself on the calf. I got him on a mid-level risk. If T. Higgins is back, I think they're going to try really hard to force feed T just a little bit. Mike Gesicki, I mean, he's been good this season so far. He will get his red zone opportunities, but I think a TD is the only thing saving his day this week. Cleveland Brownies taking on those New York Giants. Deshaun Watson looked much better last week. Throwing the football to Jerry Jeudy, who is assuming the number one wide receiver role apparently on this offense. Where the hell's Amari Cooper been, man? It's just not a good look when Amari has only got 5.2 points in, 2 weeks? He's crippling, y'all, but Deshaun Watson, mid-level risk. I do like the play this week for Deshaun Watson. I think that they figured some stuff out. He looked a lot better. The rust was shaken off, and I think he could get you anywhere from the 14 to 17 points this week. It is not a heaping of points, but this New York Giants team is not necessarily great at defending offenses, man. Jerome Ford, don't know what happened last week. I got him on the mid-level. For some reason, the coaching staff completely forgot about him in that second half. finished with only 7 points, I believe, half PPR, and the Deontay Foreman took the lion's share of the role as the game did wear on. Very peculiar, but I think this is a good week, Jerome Ford, to have a sizable role where Deontay Foreman could steal touches again as the game does wear on. Amari Cooper, low floor on the mid-level risk. I mean, versus the Giants, it's a good matchup, but if it does not pan out again, you're risking going 0-3. I mean, I get it. If you don't have better options, you got to suit up in Amari. I understand it. I just don't like it, okay? So there is heavy caution for me playing an Amari Cooper, but against the New York Giants team, I mean, we saw no bueno for Terry McLaurin last week with a Jaden Daniels. It could, again, be one of these situations, and the comfortability factor of a Jerry Jeudy now getting his role expanded a little bit more. I'm sort of leaning towards a Jerry Jeudy over an Amari Cooper, but it only takes 1 week for an Amari to blow up, so this could be the week he does it. So maybe one more last kick at the can before we start really thinking about putting Amari Cooper on our bench next week. Jerry Jeudy, good upside in the low-level risk. It's more than enough for me now to suggest he is a flex option for y'all. Hopefully you got him off the waiver wire, like I said at the beginning of the season, and Jordan Akins not touching it this week. Dallas Cowboys coming off a massive beatdown, licking their wounds. It was ugly, man. There was nothing positive about last week's performance. And I mean, eventually we have to understand, without a run game, it's going to happen to these Dallas Cowboys. You have to understand this. The defense put them in a bad hole, and they could not get out of it, and then Dallas was extremely easy to defend. Dak Prescott this week on the bounce back. Huge contest. Is Baltimore really going to go 0-3? But they're in Big D, and I mean, Dallas is going to be prepared for this one. There's no way they're going to come off a blowout loss and put up another goose egg. Dak, low risk for me. Zeke Elliott, low floor, don't like it. I mean, TD upside is here once again. Again, you could do a lot worse, but your high upside is definitely not here with a Zeke Elliott. If you're hoping for a touchdown, you will be biting your fingernails off quite a bit. Rico Suave, Rico Dwaddle, not touching it. CeeDee Lamb, enough said. We fire him up everywhere we got him as well. Brandon Cooks on the mid-level risk. There is always TD upside for him, but I mean, it's going to be sparring in this offense. I don't know why they go away from it. They hit him. It looks good. It's working, and then they go away from it. And it's like 2 weeks, and we don't hear from Brandon Cooks, and then he scores a touchdown. Figure this stuff out, man. It's not that difficult. CeeDee Lamb's your 1. Give it to Brandon Cooks on the better upside on number 2 with lesser coverage. It's not hard, Dak. Figure it out, man. Brandon Cooks on the mid-level. Against the Ravens, I'm going to say probably a bench, but there is a potential for a deep touchdown. Jalen Tolbert, PBR floor on the mid-level. He looked good last week, got 12.9 points so far on the season. And they're looking for somebody to be that, third complimentary role that Michael Gallup did leave. Didn't necessarily have a big hole, but I mean, Tolbert is a good wide receiver. He's not a great one. Good secondary piece. Not playing it this week as well. Jake Ferguson coming back from the injury, but I'm still going to caution it with an injury designation risk. He's off the injury report, but I'm still going to be cautious. Told y'all about Luke Schoonmaker. He got you some good points. 7.3, I believe. Almost got you a boom game for tight ends. Jake Ferguson, he will be utilized if healthy. If he is playing, I get the start, but I mean, he could tweak that knee in-game, and you could lose him as well. Hence why I got mid-level injury risk for him this week. Denver Broncos taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bo Nix and basically the entire Broncos team right now. I got to tell y'all, high-level risks across the board. I am not touching anybody on this team. Javonte can't run the football because they know they're going to dare Bo Nix to throw the football. Bo Nix throwing interceptions at the worst opportune times. Does not look good. Tampa Bay's defense, yes, they don't have Vita Vea this week. He is out with an injury, so that's a big upside for this potential run game. I just don't trust any of it, man. Javonte high level, Jaleel high level, not touching it. Cortland Sutton mid-level risk and Josh Reynolds mid-level risk. Well, I would say at this point we got to think about starting a Josh Reynolds over a Cortland Sutton because it's just not happening. I don't know what's going down, man. Bo Nix still struggling to find his reads. More than one read. It just does not look good in Denver right now. Greg Dulcich on the high-level risk. I mean, once they do figure it out, if Bo Nix does, then we could have some upside. But at this point, it's only garbage time appeal for me for these Denver Broncos. Detroit Lions coming off a loss last week. Was not good, man. They did not look good. I mean, the person that did look good was Amon-Ra St. Brown, and this run game still looks absolutely stupendous. Everybody else did not look so good. Jared Goff struggled for most of the day. This week, I got him on the low-level risk. Arizona does hemorrhage points to quarterbacks, even though they made Matthew Stafford look silly last week. I do like the bounce-back game on a low level for a Jared Goff. Monty and Gibby, obviously, I don't even have to dissect that. Fire these two gentlemen up everywhere. Got them 2 games, 2 booms for both them. Almost, 60 points between the two of them. It is very nice what is going down with this run game, and it should continue to be the standard in Detroit for this for these running backs. Amon-Ra St. Brown comes back to life last week with a massive contest, low-level risk. Fire him up everywhere you got him. Good upside for a Jameson Williams. Like the play again this week. The integration of a JMO in this offense is, helping the run upside, but I think it's confusing a Jared Goff and where he should be going with the football. That is Sam Laporta is why I'm talking about it. You got to mix and match. If you're struggling, go back to what worked extremely well last season. And I mean, they didn't do that last week. I fully expect them to reset just a little bit. And like they did with Amon-Ra St. Brown this past week, I think it is Sam Laporta week this week. TD upside for me. Fire up, obviously, Sam Laporta everywhere you got him. But basically, for this whole offense, I'm totally fine with firing up most of these gentlemen. Green Bay Packers at the Tennessee Titans. If I've seen anything crazier at this point, it is the fact that Jordan Love may suit up in this contest. What are y'all doing? It may be semantics. Malik Willis, I fully expect to get the start. If they rush a Jordan Love back, I don't know what y'all doing, man. Tennessee, you beat the Colts. You can beat the Titans without Jordan Love. Run the football the way you did, play sound defense, and Will Levis will turn the football over. I mean, I don't foresee it. I got Jordan Love listed here right now. High-level injury risk. I am not playing Jordan Love even if he suits up because I do not like it. You are rushing this man back. He is the franchise, and you got to protect him. But I do foresee him sitting this week. I would be shocked if he does play, and I will call the coaching staff absolutely foolish if they do start him. Josh Jacobs, low-level risk, volume upside, absolutely heavily key right now. 32 carries last week, if I'm not mistaken. And what did I say? Okay, I said we had to start him on boom or bust, but I said I was cautious. He fumbled the football, man. I mean, okay, his week would have been over 17. He still hit a boom game last week, but I will say, I'll eat my words. I was wrong on the bust game last week, but I mean, we could see that much more upside from a Josh Jacobs as they are running the football extremely well. Fire him up everywhere. Got him. Emmanuel Wilson not doing it. Romeo Doubs, mid-level risk. He is getting at least some upside even with a Malik Willis. Don't dislike it. It's just the top-end point totals are not going to be here for you. You're getting 6.5 to maybe 8.5 points from a Romeo Doubs. You could probably do better elsewhere if you have it. Jaden Reed, fired him up everywhere you got him. Obviously, the jet sweeps. He's on the low-level risk if a Jordan Love does play. If Malik Willis does suit up, drop that down to a mid-level and then hope for the best because you probably have to play him because of where you got him anyway. The jet sweeps, the manufacturing ways in this offense to get the football in his hands is what is super encouraging, and we can play him with a lesser quarterback like a Malik Willis. Dontavian Wicks and Tucker Kraft. I got high-level risk on a Wicks. It's too volatile to trust at this point. And a boomer bust for a Christian Watson. Don't like it. Tucker Kraft, low floor on the high-level risk. Very tough to trust with a Malik Willis. If Jordan Love does play and he is healthy, then we have a different conversation. But at this point, I don't like what's going on with them trying to force him back on the field. Houston Texans taking on the Minnesota Vikings, both 2-0. This is going to be a good show, except for the fact that Joe Mixon is ruled as doubtful to play in this contest, where Dameon Pierce is out of this contest. So we're going to go see basically what we saw last year from these Houston Texans with Devin Singletary. Now they got Cam Akers. Akers has done fairly well, and I think if you have a Joe Mixon and you hedge betted, like I said, you should have on waiver wire, I got him in a couple leagues, and I hedge bet, and I'm likely going to suit him up this week because this offense is too good. Cam Akers has looked good, and the volume will definitely be here. At least 12 to at least 15 touches this week for Cam Akers, you got to expect. So volume upside is here. Touchdown upside, not necessarily unless they're inside the 5-yard line. CJ Stroud, low-level risk, fire him up. We're still waiting for this offense to give that, holy cow moment that we expected. Just haven't seen it yet. Tank Dell dropped that massive pass that probably would have went for a 60-yard touchdown. Had he caught it, he dropped it in the open field. This week, though, I'm going to say Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, low-level risk. Fire them up everywhere you got them without a Joe Mixon. They're going to have to go back to what they did last year and how they did it extremely well. I fully expect a massive showing from C.J. Stroud, even though the defense did put Brock Purdy on watch to say that this scheme is extremely good. C.J. Stroud should be able to find his wide receivers regularly. And Dalton Schultz not touching it because tight ends are absolutely gross this year. Indianapolis Colts taking on those Chicago Bears. Oh, man, Anthony Richardson. This was my greatest fear this entire offseason. The lack of throwing upside, the, raw tendencies and raw abilities. He's a freak of nature when it comes to his ability on the field, but we will live and die with his mistakes. And this was the biggest problem with owning anybody outside of a Jonathan Taylor on this offense. Michael Pittman, injury risk. He's dealing with a back and calf. Look elsewhere, in my opinion. Do not do it. The Bears secondary is still very good. Josh Downs, high-level risk. Not touching it. Alec Pierce is the only one we can play at this point with good upside because he's going deep. Anthony Richardson is going deep all the time to an Alec Pierce for TD upside, so there is good upside there. Adonai Mitchell, low floor, high level risk. We can't touch any of it until we see otherwise. Right now, low level risk for both and Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor. But again, you're going to live and die with the mistakes, and as soon as they take away the rushing upside, he will struggle to go past his second read and find his wide receivers. This is a problem right now. 0-2 Indianapolis Colts. They got to run the football, and run the football. And then you might stand a chance from here and there for those deep shots. But outside of that, it's going to be pretty bad in Indy this week as well, as the Bears' defense is pretty stout. Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Buffalo Bills. Like I said on Monday Night Football, 0-2 Jags. Trevor Lawrence, sunshine. He says they suck. And I tend to agree. You guys suck right now. What else can you say, man? They do not look good. They forgot Christian Kirk even plays on this team. He does nothing for you guys. Evan Ingram, he's been injured. So, I mean, I get it, but it's just, you don't get it. What is going on with Trevor Lawrence? He's supposed to be the next, superstar in this league, and he looks like, Sam Darnold in the New York Jets. Like, it just does not look good whatsoever. Mid-level risk for a Trevor Lawrence. The Bills should be able to bring enough heat after him to make life very uncomfortable. No boom games in 2 weeks so far for Trevor Lawrence. It does not look good. Travis Etienne, he's got a low-level risk for me. The Bills can be seemingly gashed at times when it comes to the run, and I think that should be the MO for the Jags this week. Run the football, keep Josh Allen off of the field. Travis Etienne, I'm absolutely firing him up everywhere you got him. High-level risk for Tank Bigsby. He's still recovering from an injury, likely going to be in this contest, but again, they could curtail all of his snaps. Low floor, high-level risk for a Christian Kirk. I do not like it, will not trust it this week. However, Gabriel Davis on the revenge game. It happens. I love me some revenge games. First time back, Gabe's going to be back in Buffalo since leaving and going to the Jags. Yes, it is only week 3. I would not be shocked if they test it out and go deep, try to get a touchdown to Gabe, and he will give some secrets to how the Bills' defense does play. So Gabe Davis, for me, flex appeal all day long. Brian Thomas Jr., I think, is the revelation we're looking for. 23 points, back-to-back boom games for this rookie. Absolutely fire him up everywhere you got him. And Evan Ingram, hopefully you got better options for your tight end because this game is not played till Monday. So if you got him locked in as your starter right now because he's on the questionable, you may be hurting because he could be, again, a late last-minute game-time decision, did not play or not participating, I should say, in this contest. Kansas City Chiefs at the Atlanta Falcons. Like I said, Sunday Night Football. Isaiah Pacheco is gonzo with a broken fibula. I mean, I've already been on this with an Isaiah Pacheco. Because of how tough he runs, injuries was my concern, and now we have seen it. He's out for, 6 to 8 weeks, potentially more. Could be the entire season, so the Chiefs are going to have to roll without this. They got Kareem Hunt signed on the practice squad, and this week they have Carson Steele and Sam J.P. Ryan. This is what you're doing. But, I mean, Patrick Mahomes made Jerick McKinnon look good, so I don't really foresee this being a massive problem just yet. We will see how it does work versus an Atlanta Falcons defense that is very good and improving. Jesse Bates and a Justin Simmons will be after a Patrick Mahomes boy and these wide receivers. So Patrick Mahomes still low-level risk. He will fire to his wide receivers like a Rashee Rice. Low-level risk for me. You fire up these gentlemen everywhere you got them. Carson Steele or P. Ryan. Who are we doing? The way I see it right now, it is TD upside on the mid-level and then volume upside. TD upside for Steele, volume upside for P. Ryan. I believe Andy Reid will give P. Ryan, the vet treatment where it's prove it because you're the veteran. We'll give it to you first, and then after that, if you don't perform, then you get pulled. I kind of feel like that's where it's going to go. But we will see how it does shake down. Both are very risky plays this week versus an Atlanta front line that is getting better by the week. That is no question. Xavier Worthy, TD upside on the deep ball. Yes, he did take a haircut last week. So Cincinnati was, talking a bunch of ish in the pregame, and they said he could only go deep, and the Chiefs didn't even utilize him basically outside of that anyway. So he is TD upside dependent at this point on the mid-level risk. Justin Watson not touching it, and Travis Kelce needs to, at least show up here and there. But again, I said in the offseason when we're talking about rankings for tight ends, when I talked about Travis Kelce, they did this last year. They save him, not overwork him, and until they get into the postseason, that's when we saw Travis Kelce starting to play his best football. It might be like this again, man, where we don't see him start to pick up his play until like week 12. He might have a game here and there, but I think they are saving him for another playoff run. Low floor on the mid-level risk. It is actually, very risky to be playing a Kelce, but I get it. You drafted him. You got to go and use him. Just fire him up if you got him. I understand there's not many better options at the tight end spot at this point. Los Angeles Chargers and Harbaugh. He's got this team rolling like the Michigan Wolverines. Big problem, Justin Herbert is dealing with a high ankle sprain. No word on yet as if he's going to play. They got him listed as a questionable. It is a big problem for this offense. Because if it's not Justin Herbert, even though they have not asked Herbert to do a whole heck of a lot in the pass game, I believe, 144, 138 yards respectively in both weeks, but you still need Justin Herbert. He has showcased 5,000 yards in this league. Injury risk for me. You can't touch it this week. If he does tweak that ankle in game, he will be out very quick. Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins will have to be heavily relied upon in this contest, but going up against a Pittsburgh Steelers defense that is still very strong with a T.J. Watt. TD upside on the mid-level for Gus is going to be basically your weekly MO. I don't like it. I'm not playing Gus this week. Where J.K. Dobbins, back-to-back boom games, 41 points right now, one of the top running backs in all of fantasy football. I got a mid-level on him without a Justin Herbert. It might be tough, but you know that a Harbaugh is still going to have that dedication to the ground game. They will run a lot, so at least for volume upside, you can play a J.K. Dobbins. Injury risk for a Palmer, not touching it. QJ, Quentin Johnston, mid-level risk. Okay, he caught 2 TDs last week, if I'm not mistaken, and, one of them was a body catch. This is still the problem. Catch with your damn hands, man. But, at least the fact that, Herbert found him and he caught those touchdowns, it is upside and positivity that I do like to see. Without Herbert, I'm not playing any of these wide receivers because it likely will not be good, especially with the Pittsburgh defense coming the way they are. And Ladd McConkey, mid-level risk, PPR upside without a Justin Herbert is definitely there. Los Angeles Rams taking on the San Francisco 49ers. Matthew Stafford and these Rams. Could it get any worse on the injury report? It is so bad. The entire team has been sent to IR, basically. Matthew Stafford, just like last week, he's going to be running for his life. The offensive line is in shambles. So many injuries, mid-level risk from the 49ers. Even though the 49ers are dealing with their own set of injuries, the defensive side of the 49ers still is very strong and will come after a Matthew Stafford. Kyron Williams, mid-level risk. It might trickle down effect because of how many injuries they do have. They're going to have to rely upon a Kyron, so start him, but it could be a bad day is kind of where I'm going with that one. Blake Corum, not touching it. And then what do we do with these wide receivers? Demarcus Robinson, Tyler Johnson, Tutu Atwell are your cast of characters. Now that Cooper Kupp is out with an ankle injury as well, he's likely gone for a while. And then Puka Nacua, we know, is on IR. So for me, again, it is mid-level risk for Robinson, PPR floor for a Johnson, and then Tutu Atwell with the boomer bust. So if it's me, I'm going with a safety blanket of DeMarcus. I think he's got the better upside out of the 3, but they're all very much not sound options, but at least Robinson has the better upside out of the 3. Colby Parkinson does have TD upside once again, where we could see a lot of rushing upside, maybe some play action pass, and hopefully getting the tight end involved to move the ball in LA versus the 49ers. It's not going to be good for them. I'm telling y'all, next few weeks could be really bad. Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Carolina Panthers. Okay, and typically with a team this bad like Carolina, I would say fire up everybody, but this is not a good team to fire up everybody. Gardner Minshew, I will say low-level risk. He looked good last week distributing the football. We got Devontae Adams, he looked great last week, catching everything to come his way. I don't mind it, man. You could do a lot worse. You got injuries at your quarterback spot. Gardner Minshew is a great fill-in. If he was on your waiver wire, absolutely pick him up and plug him in versus a Carolina Panthers defense that cannot play good ball right now. Zamir Zeus White, Alexander Madison. What are we doing with these two gentlemen? This is the week I do believe we see Zeus have himself a day. Volume upside on the mid-level risk. Why I got them both on mid-levels? Because they will split touches until one of them shows out. And, Madison did not look great last week as they were passing the football a lot. But I do think it is Zeus time Give it to Zeus over Madison this week for me. Devontae, fire him up everywhere he got him. We might have found something good with him, Minshew and Adams last week. Just throw it in his vicinity and good things will happen. Jacoby Myers, PPR upside. It's not good enough for me to trust at this point. I think you can find better options, but this week Myers might have a good day PPR-wise as well. 6 receptions, maybe like 65 yards, maybe a touchdown, but I got the TD upside play of the week going to a Brock Bowers. This young rookie, 2 boom games in back-to-back weeks, first 2 games in the NFL, and he's going to score his first TD this week. I'll be shocked if it does not happen. This is the game to do it, and I'm telling y'all, Brock Bowers is that generational tight end we all thought he was. He looks absolutely fabulous on the field. Fire him up everywhere you got him. Miami Dolphins taking on the Seattle Seahawks, and Tua, prayers up for Tua for real. I'm a Bills Mafia supporter. You guys know this. I love my Buffalo Bills, and it is always squish the fish week when we play them, but I mean, it's not good, man. I really feel bad for Tua. Hopefully he gets his concussion problem figured out. I mean, this could legitimately be a career. He gets one more. If he comes back, he gets another one. You're risking your brain being scrambled, dude, and it's just not a good thing. Hopefully he gets back to healthy, and my prayers are up to him. And no, we never cheer for injuries over here. You know, injuries outside of everything else. I mean, prayers up to Tua. Hopefully he gets better. So what does that leave us with is a Skylar Thompson high-level risk versus the Seattle Seahawks defense that does still have great attacking, ball-hawking defensive backs like a with a spoon. You can't play Skylar. I don't care who you are. You can't do it, man. Unless you're in like a 20-man league, I'm not touching Skylar at all. Devin off the A-chain. Low-level risk. They will fire him up everywhere he got him. They're going to run the football a lot. Even if this game does get out of hand and the Dolphins are losing, A-chain will get a lot of touches in garbage time. Fire him up everywhere he got him. Jeff Wilson only in deeper leagues on the mid-level risk, and this is the problem that it does possess now without a Tua. What the hell do we do with Tyreek and Jalen Waddle? Right now, it's QB floor determined. It's not good. Well, you know that McDaniel is going to manufacture ways to get these guys a football, whether it be on the slants, whether it be on the drags, the screens. He will manufacture ways to get them the football so that they can at least utilize their legs and make the yak in that play. So you're obviously playing a Tyreek Hill. You can't bench Tyreek no matter what. I could be playing quarterback, and you're going to be playing Tyreek Hill. Let's just be real. But Jalen Waddle time, it's going to look bad. I don't like the Waddle situation where I'll prefer, I guess I should say, the Tyreek play over Waddle. It scares me a lot with Jalen Waddle this week. Until we see how this offense does move with Skylar, I'm not liking it whatsoever. Where Jonnu Smith is the PPR upside on the mid-level risk. Had himself a boom game last week, and it could again be the case. Garbage time and safety blanket play on the PPR upside. Minnesota Vikings taking on the Houston Texans. Okay, Sam, I get it. Okay, you're playing loose. You're feeling yourself in this O'Connell offense. And like I said last week, we got to give flowers to head coach O'Connell. You're taking a team that, let go of Kirk Cousins, one of your best quarterbacks in history, and you go with Sam Darnold, and he's putting up just as good points, if not better. 36.5 in 2 weeks for Sam Darnold. Fire him up versus Houston Texans. They have found something that is working, and it is JJ. It's called Justin Jefferson. Jettasy is going to be again. Okay, he said he's playing this week. Off the injury designation with that thigh contusion, low-level risk. Obviously, you're playing him. Play Sam Darnold this week. I'm totally good with that as well. Aaron Jones, a little bit of a haircut last week. We saw Ty Chandler sprinkled into the contest, and like I did mention to you in the offseason, we will start to see it about, week 6. A little bit more split touches, but Aaron Jones going to have to be leaned upon heavily versus a Houston defense that is extremely attacking, and it is Hunter's revenge game for Houston. I'm telling you, he's going to be coming after him. He was going to try to prove a point, so a lot of screen passes could be going to an Aaron Jones. Jalen Naylor said it last week. I'm a fan of his game. MSU product, like him at Michigan State. I do like him here as well. Addy is still out with an ankle. So if you have wide receiver issues, don't dislike Naylor whatsoever, man. You could do a lot worse. 8 points could absolutely be the floor for a Naylor. He gets in the end zone, you're getting 14. I like the play this week. There is some risk, but if you're willing to take a chance, it could pay off with a Jalen Naylor. Powell and Munt, you're not touching that this week. High-level risk. New Orleans Saints, who dat? It's good, man. They're doing extremely well in New Orleans. taking on the Philadelphia Eagles defense that is really struggling on that secondary again this year. The young rookie Mitchell, he looks good, but outside of that, there's holes everywhere. Slay is cooked all game. He's seeing better days. Derek Carr playing the best football we have probably seen in his entire career. Low-level risk. Fire him up everywhere you got him until further notice. Alvin Kamara, how many victory laps do I have to take on Alvin? I told y'all the ROI was going to be absolutely stupendous for him. And all y'all that listen, I'm so happy that you're winning because of Alvin, because it was just ridiculous why he was so low. 29 years old, be damned. And the contract, he's fighting for that money. You know he's going to play his ass off. So here it is, low-level risk. Fire Kamara up everywhere he got him. Jamal Williams not touching it, but Chris Olave, CO2, my guy, 12 points in 2 weeks. I got to take a big, deep breath because it sucks, man, okay? They're utilizing everybody else in this offense outside of a Chris Olave. Rashid Shaheed is getting all the targets we thought Olave was going to get. It may continue, but this is, again, the week you kind of want to rectify. He is your best wide receiver. Start, force-feeding him a little bit. He is getting open. Pass him the football. Right now, Derek Carr is taking what the defense is giving him. This new offensive look is good in New Orleans, but I think Olave has a good bounce back, low-level risk. Play him everywhere you got him. Likewise, with a Rashid Shaheed, I got to put some respect where it's due. I've been kind of wavering on that fence, being like, yeah, can you play him? Sure. Do I like it? No. Now you got to play it, man. He is a fixture in this offense. The speed is too good. He's great catching over the shoulder. Fire up Rashid Shaheed everywhere you got him as well. And Juwan Johnson on the mid-level risk, where Taysom Hill's dealing with an injury of sorts. Taysom might play, but the way that Alvin is running the football, they have no need to take Alvin off the field, where Juwan could get some decent play at the tight end spot this week versus Nakobe Dean and company of these Eagles. New York Giants taking on the Cleveland Brownies. Okay, Daniel Pennies, I'm not even coming close to sitting here being like, yeah, that was a good game. No, you're still terrible, and I don't care what anybody says. Show me more, and then we'll start talking. Low upside on the mid-level risk. Not playing a Danny Pennies. You couldn't pay me enough. I'd rather keep my quarterback spot empty than play a Daniel Jones, but I get it. He has 25 points in 2 games. It's not terrible because of a guy like Malik Neighbors. And we all knew Neighbors is an all-star, man. He was unbelievable. Look how, you talk about a guy like Jamar Chase. He's not playing with any heart. You see what Neighbors did, and yes, I understand. Neighbors is a rookie where Chase has already proven what he is in this league, and Chase wants his money. Neighbors had 18 targets and 10 catches, and the drop pass that cost him the game. He was so pissed off. I love seeing that because he is the biggest critic on himself. He believes he should make every catch, and these are the types of guys I want on my team. Malik Neighbors, absolutely fire him up everywhere you got him. Motor Singletary showed me something. He showed me that we can still run the football. And against this Cleveland Browns defense, they're stingy versus the run. But I think Motor in deeper leagues, I think running back 3 flex appeal, there is options here for him as well. Hyatt, not touching that. Jalen Hyatt, it's just there's not enough. Danny Pennies can't support more than one guy, okay? Let's be real about that. But Jalen Hyatt, you're obviously keeping that on the waiver wire. Wan'Dale Robinson, mid-level risk, 8.8 points in back-to-back weeks. I'll take it. Maybe he gets, but it's very, very TD dependent at this point. There's not enough targets from Daniel Jones to pass the football around to all these guys to make them relevant. And when you got Neighbors getting 18 targets, there's not enough to go around. I'm going to wait one more week for a Wan'Dale. Where Theo Johnson, I just want to see a little bit more. At least he's getting a lot of the snap counts, which is very important for me to see how he does in the blocking aspect of things. Philadelphia Eagles fly. The birds are not flying this week. That was probably one of the worst losses I have seen. They had a 0.07 chance of losing that contest on Monday Night Football, and somehow they figured out how to do that. I don't know what the hell happened. I felt bad for all my Philly, buddies out there. They were upset. They were bad. We had to check on them throughout the night that they were okay. That's how bad they were. Jalen Hurts, fire him up everywhere he got him. 43 points. He's cooking it this year. Just like Saquon Barkley. Okay, if it wasn't for Barkley dropping that pass, the game would have been over and Barkley would have likely scampered into the end zone for another tutty. So it was a mistake. What can you say? But you can fire up these guys with absolute confidence each and every week. Kenneth Gainwell, nope, we're not doing it. A.J. Brown is out with an injury. Where Devontae Smith, Smitty, Low-level risk, he's looking good, 29 points. Smitty is a wide receiver one in this league. You know this. But I mean, A.J. Brown and Smitty together, it just makes an unstoppable force. Right now, it's still going to be a struggle because no A.J. Brown, so Smitty's going to have to do it on his own. Hopefully somebody can pick up the pace where it is Jahan Dotson and Britton Covey. I mean, high-level risk for Dotson. It hurts me to say, what are you doing, bro? Give Hurts something to throw to. I've been your biggest supporter saying you're going to come back, and you're failing me, Jahan. Get out of your own way. Seriously, I've almost swore there again. I'm going to get banned off YouTube in a second. Jahan, do something. That's all I got to say. But then Britton Covey, he's got some speed, got some wheels. Definitely can't play that in fantasy football, where the upside does go to a Dallas Goedert with TD upside on the mid-level risk with a Devontae Smith. So we will see. It's going to still be heavy Barkley, lots of Smitty, and then Goddard to round it out. I think that's your plays for the Eagles this week. Pittsburgh Steelers taking on those Los Angeles Chargers. Okay, 2-0. You can't hate it, man. They're winning games, even though it is ugly. The only guy who to get a boom game on this offense is George Pickens, and that was in week 1. Justin Fields, they're just telling him, don't lose us the game. Don't lose us this game. Take the easy throws. Do very well, and he's been doing it. But we got to say the upside, man, 2 absolute big boy throws last week for a Justin Fields, called back on penalties. It's coming slowly. You got to see the progression. Have some patience. Justin Fields was the right guy for the job. Like I mentioned in the offseason, he would have been my quarterback as well. Mid-level risk, there is rushing upside, but they're trying to, simplify it so much that Fields gets comfortable and then it becomes automatic. But the fact that we saw those 2 good passes really is uplifting for me for a Justin Fields. I'm playing him this week, especially in Superflex leagues only. I'm playing a Justin Fields, not in standard leagues. Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, it's not the upside you guys thought at the rushing game this year so far. Najee's giving you the 8 points. I mean, you could do a lot worse the way the stats have not been coming in, but if you do got a better option, definitely take it. Where Jalen Warren, I am not touching it right now. He still is dealing with that injury. Soft tissue injuries take a while, and I still believe it's going to linger for another couple weeks. They're taking it slow, pacing him. He's just not going to be able to give you the points you're looking for. George Pickens, Georgie, 1 boom game. He could have had 2 last week if those catches stood. Versus the LA Chargers and potentially no Justin Herbert. I love me some Pickens this week. I think he will absolutely roam free on that secondary. We'll see how he does go. Hopefully Fields can hit him with a couple touchdowns this week. Van Jefferson, Roman Wilson, we can't touch it until we see it. And then a Pat Freiermuth, the Muth. 5.3 points per week on average. It's relative to tight end success at this point. I just want to see some touchdown upside. I think once they figure that out, this team will be very tough to stop. But at this point, if you got better options, definitely take them. But Pat Freiermuth will get you at least 5 points again this week. The 49ers taking on the Los Angeles Rams. Both teams going to be rostering USFL teams in a second. All these injuries, man. Holy crap. Ricky Purcell still out. Christian McCaffrey, IR. George Kittle, he's doubtful with a hammy. Debo with a calf, likely 2 weeks. What the hell, man, is in your guys' water up in San Francisco? It is not good. But I'm telling y'all right now, Brock Purdy, mid-level risk. Even though the Rams' defense is, lesser than we have seen, he's still, 13 to 15 to maybe 17 points could be coming. I highly doubt it. I'm going to hedge bet on the lower end, say about 12 to 13 points coming from Brock this week. They're going to try to force feed an Ayuk, but they're going to still run the football a lot with a Jordan Mason. So if it's for me, Jordan Mason is the play, low-level risk, or Ayuk is going to be the beneficiary of the volume upside and target share. He should be peppered with targets without Kittle and Debo. But I do like the play of a Juwan Jennings. I'm a big fan. Voice is cracking. Apologize. I'm a big fan of Juwan Jennings. I think this is the opportunity. If he can't showcase this now, then he's forever going to be a wide receiver 3 in any offense in the NFL. This is the best offense for you, man. And I want to see at minimum 6 receptions, 70 yards, and a touchdown. Come on, Juwan, do it for me, and I want to see it because I do believe it should be coming. He's just too good in the supportive role, and Ayuk is going to get all the attention anyway, so Purdy would be very smart to go to Jennings' side, where I do believe we could see Jacob Cowing, the rookie this week. We could see Chris Conley, but I do like the Cowing, potential play this week. Just see what the rookie has. He's got talent for days, and I do like him quite a bit, but I'm not playing him where I would endorse playing a Jennings if you have big problems at wide receiver. Seattle Seahawks taking on the Miami Dolphins. Geno and this offense, they're looking good. They're not giving up 2-0. No Kenny Walker. I mean, this is the biggest problem with Kenny. So damn talented, but he's always dealing with those oblique injuries. Something wrong on the insides there. You got to get those fixed, man. Zach Charbonnet, you can fire up Geno everywhere you got him. Fire up a Charbonnet, as they will have some rushing upside as well. Where DK Metcalf on the low-level risk. Jalen Ramsey has seen better days. Does not look like the man of old, and I do believe it's going to be Ramsey versus a Metcalf, and I think Metcalf should get the better of him. This is the problem in Seattle now. We're back at it again with a Tyler Lockett and a Jackson Smith-Njigba. Which one can we trust on a weekly basis? It is going to be very difficult, where we could see them swap back and forth. While I was a week early, week 1 I said start JSN, week 2 I said he's probably going to boom, but I'm going to bench him, and he booms. This week now we're going to be like, hey, we're playing this game of chess back and forth. This probably is Tyler Lockett week, where JSN will see enough, hopefully enough to get you over the boom game. But I like both these guys. I like Lockett. I like Jackson Smith-Njigba. If you have to play them, I don't dislike it, because Miami's offense will be bad enough for these Seahawks to get a lot of more offensive touches. Fire up all these wide receivers. I do like it quite a bit, and the Seahawks are rolling, man. Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Denver Broncos. Bake Show. He's showing, man, he can make things happen. Last week was Mike Evans' down game. Chris Godwin is the fantasy football wide receiver 1 in half PPR leagues, if you can believe it at this point. 40 points on the board. He looks good. This offense looks good. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, each and every week at this point, until otherwise stated, you got to play them. They look too good with a Baker Mayfield. Outside of Rachaad White, he was dealing with that injury, the groin. He's not on the injury report, but I would caution the play. PPR upside on the mid-level. Denver's defense is still good enough. I just don't like the fact of how not so good he looks in the running game, where they have to get him the football in open field to make plays. PPR upside for Rachaad White, where a Bucky Irving is starting to move up my board quite a bit. Mid-level risk. Still not playing him this week, but we are watching him a lot closer. Jalen McMillan can't play it, even though he's on a mid-level. They will eventually figure out this trio of wide receivers, but right now, Tampa Bay is looking pretty good, where a Patrick Surtain is likely going to be on a Mike Evans. We could see a lot of McMillan and a Godwin once again. This week for the Buccaneers. Tennessee Titans, Will Levis, man. You're becoming a nightmare highlight reel every week. What are you doing, dude? You're just chucking the ball away. Even your coach is like, what the F was that, man? High-level risk for Will Levis. Don't like it. Not going to do it. Not even in Superflex. Nope. Can't do it. Can't touch it. But Tony Pollard, on the other hand, almost 30 points in 2 weeks, 2 boom games. Absolutely fire up Tony Pollard ever he got him. Where we do got Tajay Spears on the injury risk, ankle injury. He is likely to play in this contest, though. Still love me some Tony Pollard. He looks good in this offense, so it's not only Derrick Henry's offense that can run, Tony Pollard can run in this offense too. DeAndre Hopkins on the low floor, don't like it, where Calvin Ridley showcased the fact that at least he can snag the football out of the air for his quarterback. He's got good upside on the green. I do like it once again. Tyler Boyd and Chig Okonkwo, I don't like it, even though Okonkwo does have a TD floor. It's very, very volatile versus Green Bay Packers, where Hopkins should get a lot of Jari Alexander. Calvin Ridley could have himself a day once again. Finishing off with the Washington Commanders, the Commies. Jaden Daniels, rush upside in the green. You got to do it, even though he didn't boom last week. What is going on with the passing upside, Jaden? Come on, man. At least get something down to Terry McLaurin. Told y'all to bench Terry last week, and I'm going to do it again this week. High-level risk until otherwise seen. We got to see Daniels at least support it 2 weeks in a row for me to feel warm and fuzzy. Right now, Daniels, with this running game, is so good. They have no reason to utilize a scary Terry McLaurin at this point. So Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler, Jaden Daniels, fire them up everywhere you got them. I'm totally good with it. Low-level risk for B-Rob, where Austin Eckler's got very good upside on the mid-level. I absolutely love it. But what I did see last week when I was watching these games was Noah Brown. They might have found something with a Noah Brown. 7.1 points. Noah Brown showcased the fact in Houston last year. He is a player to be reckoned with. And I think that, on this side with a Zach Ertz, they could be the safety blanket, easy plays. Don't give the game away type of plays they're instructing Jaden Daniels to do, where Scary Terry's going with the bigger routes down the field. I think that's kind of why we're seeing the lack of usage from a Terry. But I mean, the fact that Jaden Daniels is able to support guys like Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. at LSU, why can't it happen with a Terry McLaurin? I get it. The coaching staff is telling him, be safe. We want to get some wins. Right now, it's 1-1. Can't play Noah Brown outside of 14 and 16 team leagues at this point. Diami Brown not doing it, but Zach Ertz, abso-freaking-lutely, you can fire him up this week if you got tight end problems. But there you have it. That is Start Sit week number 3. Injury Armageddon already this early in the season. It is not good. No bueno. I don't like it. But if you got any Start Sit questions, hit that like button. Throw your questions in the comments, and I will always get back to y'all. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button, just like I'm saying, and we'll see you next time. I am out.